I want you to picture the final scene of a massive blockbuster movie. You know the exact trope I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. The big finish.
The hero has saved the world, the dust has settled, and now they have to leave. Maybe they're flying off into the sunset or ascending to some other dimension.
Right, the classic passing of the torch moment.
Exactly. So the team is gathered below, looking up. The music swells. It's triumphant. It's emotional. The camera pans across their faces, and they look resolute.
Polished. Ready.
Yes, polished. They look perfect. And you walk out of the theater thinking, okay, the mission is in good hands. These guys have it all together.
It's designed that way, right? It gives you closure. It feels safe.
Precisely. But today, we are doing a deep dive into what is basically the original version of that scene, the Great Commission from the Bible, specifically Matthew chapter 28. And if you look closely at the source material we've got today, which is this incredible analysis combining history, psychology, a little political theory, that final scene is, it's a disaster.
It really is. If that were a movie, the studio executives would have sent it back for reshoots. It's just messy, it's awkward, the team looks like it's falling apart.
But that messiness is the whole point.
Yeah.
We're going to unpack the specific details of Jesus' final instructions to his disciples. But hang on, because this isn't just, a theology lesson.
Not at all.
The source material connects this ancient text to some fascinating modern political history, the psychology of cognitive dissonance, and I promise you I'm not making this up, the mechanics of scam phone calls.
It sounds like a strange mix, but it all connects surprisingly well. We're going to look at the math of the disciples, why that number 11 is so unsettling. We'll break down the linguistic clues, specifically accents that got Peter in so much trouble.
And we're going to talk about why a religious text would explicitly mention that the leaders of the movement were standing there, looking at a miracle and still doubting it.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage. The location is a mountain in Galilee. Jesus is about to ascend. And the text opens with a head count. It says, the 11 disciples went to Galilee.
11. That number just immediately jumps out at you. In the ancient world, and certainly in biblical numerology, 12 is the number of completeness.
Right, the 12 tribes of Israel.
It represents order, government. 11. 11 is broken. It's a prime number. It just sort of hangs there in the air, unfinished.
It's like a football team taking the field with 10 players. You immediately know someone is missing.
And that awkwardness is intentional. It just screams that there is a gap in the ranks, and we know exactly who created that gap.
Judas Iscariot. The source material spends a good amount of time analyzing this -1. We all know the basics, 30 pieces of silver, the kiss in the garden.
Sure, the betrayal.
But the source offers a psychological angle on Judas that I found really compelling. It suggests that Judas wasn't necessarily trying to get Jesus killed.
This is the miscalculation theory, and it's fascinating. The analysis suggests Judas might have been playing a very dangerous game. In his mind, he could have been thinking, I'll lead the soldiers to him, they'll have a tense meeting, maybe an arrest, but he's the Messiah.
He'll get out of it.
He's the miracle worker, he'll be fine. He thought he could pocket the cash and maybe even force Jesus' hand at the same time.
So he completely underestimated the severity of the machine he was turning on.
Exactly. He thought it was a business transaction, not a death warrant. But then, of course, reality hits.
And the source contrasts this so sharply with what happens to Peter later, because both of them failed.
Right.
Massively.
Oh, absolutely. But the nature of the failure, and more importantly, the reaction to it, is completely different. Judas gets the money. But the source describes this vivid scene where the moment he has it, the reality of the betrayal just crashes down on him.
He tries to return the silver to the priests. He says, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. He knows what he did.
But the priest reaction is just ice cold. They basically say, what is that to us? That's your problem. They refuse the money. It's blood money. And this leads to the tragic end for Judas. He's just overcome with shame. And the source makes a really specific distinction here. Judas had regret, but he didn't have repentance. He couldn't see a path to restoration. He felt the guilt, but he didn't turn back to the person he betrayed. He chose suicide.
So that's why we are at 11. We've cut the traitor. But here's where the whole messy team concept really clicked for me. If we are cutting people from the team based on failure, why on earth is Peter standing on that mountain?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If Judas is the -1, Peter is the added one. By all rights, based on his performance review from the previous night, he shouldn't be there either.
I mean, Peter didn't just slip up. He denied knowing Jesus 3 times.
Yeah.
And the source material breaks this down using a linguistic clue that I think most people completely miss. the accent clue.
I love this part. It just grounds the story in such reality. The source uses a local analogy to explain it, comparing Peter's situation to regional accents in Taiwan.
Right, like if someone is from Lugang or Yulon versus, say, Taipei?
Exactly. If you know that context, you know that the Lugang accent is very distinct. It has a specific lilt, certain tonal shifts. As soon as someone opens their mouth, you know exactly where they're from. You can't hide it.
So Peter is in Jerusalem, the big city, and he's trying to blend in.
He's terrified. He's trying to be anonymous. He wants to be just another face in the crowd while Jesus is being interrogated. But he gets cornered. A servant girl comes up to him, and then others join in, and they start saying, "Hey, surely you are one of them. Your speech gives you away."
It's not just an accusation, it's like a forensic identification. His voice betrays him. You sound like a Galilean.
And this is where Peter just panics, and the source points out that he doesn't just say no. He goes much, much further. He swears an oath.
This is the part that feels so much heavier than just a lie. He's bringing his faith into it.
He's invoking a curse on himself. In that culture, swearing an oath is a massive deal. It involves your identity, your soul. He's basically saying, may God strike me down if I know this man.
He's willing to curse his own soul just to survive the night.
And if I'm looking at this objectively, that feels almost worse than what Judas did.
Right. Judas made a transaction. Peter publicly disowned his leader and invoked a curse to do it.
It's certainly a more personal betrayal, but, and this is the absolute key, Peter is on the mountain in the final scene and Judas isn't.
So what's the difference? Why is Peter back on the team?
It all comes down to the aftermath. The source contrasts their reactions. Judas was consumed by shame that led to death. Peter was consumed by shame. Remember, the text says he wept bitterly, but he stuck around.
He went back to his old life? Fishing, sure.
But he remained available to be found. He allowed himself to be forgiven and restored.
So the 11 isn't just a number. It's a group composed of the remaining loyalists and one guy who failed spectacularly but was brought back in.
Precisely. The Great Commission, this world-changing mission, is handed to a team built on restoration, not perfection.
Now, speaking of paying a price and making hard choices, the source material takes a really fascinating detour here. It pivots from the biblical narrative into some really specific historical parallels, particularly looking at the history of democracy in Taiwan.
This was a surprising connection, but it works so well to explain the stakes. The source uses these political events to illustrate the concept of cost.
So what's the cost?
That following a belief system, whether it's a religious one like the Great Commission or a political ideal like democracy, it requires paying a price.
Let's talk about the old delegates. This image was wild. The source describes these representatives in the National Assembly who had held power for decades without ever being reelected.
Right. For listeners who aren't familiar with Taiwanese history, this refers to a period under the temporary provisions. Basically, because of the Civil War and the political freeze, these delegates were just frozen in office.
They literally couldn't be voted out.
Nope. They were representatives for districts they hadn't seen in 40 years.
And the description in the source is almost comical in a very dark way. It talks about them being in their 90s, bedridden, hooked up to IV drips.
Being wheeled in just to vote. It paints this picture of a system that had completely stagnated. The source mentions they were receiving red envelopes, basically perks and payments, to just show up and stamp a ballot.
They didn't even know who they were voting for sometimes.
They were just warm bodies keeping the system running.
There was that joke mentioned too about Wu Sanlin.
Yes, a bit of wordplay there. Wu Sanlin was a famous politician, but the name sounds like 3 continuous, essentially unlimited terms.
It was a cynical joke people made about how the presidency and these delegates just went on forever.
It felt like nothing would ever change.
And this stagnation is what led to the student movements. The Wild Lily movement in 1990, and then later, the Sunflower movement in 2014.
These are the pivot points. In 1990, you had students gathering at the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, sitting in protest, demanding the dissolution of that old National Assembly. They wanted direct elections.
They wanted the system to breathe again.
And then in 2014, with the Sunflower movement, they actually occupied the legislative yuan. But here is where the source makes a very nuanced point. It doesn't just cheerlead the protests, it talks about the legal reality.
This is crucial for understanding the cost. The speaker in the source notes that while the idealism of the students is valid, fighting for transparency for their future, there's a cost to civil disobedience.
Yes, the source was pretty clear. It said, if you want to break the law for your ideal, you have to be ready to accept the penalty.
Exactly. It's the idea that revolution isn't free. You can't just wreck the legislature or occupy a building and say, I'm doing it for a good cause, so no punishment, please.
True conviction involves accepting the consequences of your actions, even if you believe you are morally right.
And this connects back to the disciples.
It draws a direct line. The source mentions Liu Haodong, who was a Christian and a follower of Sun Yat-sen during the revolution. He designed the emblem that eventually became the national flag, and he was executed for his role in the revolution. He paid the ultimate price.
So the argument is, the disciples on that mountain weren't just signing up for a Sunday school class.
Not at all. They were stepping into a revolution. These 11 men were signing up for a mission that would eventually put them in direct conflict with the authorities of their time. They had to be willing to pay the cost.
Which makes the next part of the text even more shocking. So we've established the stakes are life and death, we've established the team is flawed, and then we get to Matthew 28, verse 17. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted.
But some doubted. It is one of the most honest lines in all of ancient literature.
I have to stop you there, because when I read that, I think, really, they're looking at Jesus, the guy who is dead and is now alive. He's standing right there, and they are doubting.
It seems absurd, doesn't it? But the source argues that this one line is actually the strongest proof of the text's authenticity.
How does doubt prove it's true?
Well, think about propaganda. If you're writing a fake story to start a religious movement, you want your leaders to look strong. You want total unity. You'd write, and they all believed instantly and were brave and perfect.
You don't write, yeah, some of them weren't really sure about this.
Exactly. Including the doubt makes them look weak. It undermines the authority of the founders.
Unless it's just the truth.
Unless it's just what actually happened, what's in all. It wasn't polished for PR.
Okay, but what is the nature of this doubt? Is it, I don't think that's him, or is it something else?
It's likely a conflict between rationality and experience. The source puts it this way. They saw him die. They know how death works. Now they see him alive. This defies all human logic, all physics, all experience.
So your brain is screaming, impossible, even while your eyes are seeing it.
That cognitive dissonance creates doubt. It's not a lack of faith, necessarily. It's the brain just trying to catch up with a new reality.
And the source uses a great analogy here about taking an exam. The exam analogy. This really helped me get it.
Right. If you sit down for a difficult test and you just breeze through it, filling in answers without thinking, are you a genius? Or are you just disengaged?
You're probably just guessing. Or you're overconfident and you're getting it all wrong.
Exactly. Faith without doubt is like a test where you don't think. Doubt forces you to stop, to process, to really struggle with the answer. And that struggle is what cements the belief. The source uses the phrase, iron heats fast, cools fast.
I like that. The idea that sudden emotional faith, that mountaintop experience, can disappear just as quickly as it came.
If you haven't wrestled with the difficult questions, your faith is fragile. It's surface level. When the wind blows, it just falls over. But if you've doubted, if you've questioned and then found the answer, that belief is rooted in something real. It's been stress tested.
Speaking of being easily fooled, we have to talk about the scam call story. This was a hilarious little detour in the source material, but it actually lands the point really well.
It was great. The speaker tells a story about his wife getting a call. It's one of those classic risk control scams, someone claiming there's a problem with her account and she needs to transfer money.
And she actually engages with the guy. She asks for his name. And the scammer says his name is Chen Zongxi.
Which is a pun, right?
Yeah, for our listeners, Chen Zongxi sounds exactly like the phrase for honestly faithful or loyal and honest.
That is so bold. A scammer calling himself Mr. Honest.
And the speaker's wife, bless her, asks, is that your real name? And eventually the speaker has to step in and hang up the phone. But the lesson he draws from it is key to this whole discussion on doubt.
The lesson is about the necessity of skepticism. If you accept everything without questioning, like a scam call from Mr. Honest, you are easily fooled. You become a victim.
Doubt is a defense mechanism. It's a filter.
We need to be able to say, wait a minute, does this make sense? Is this real?
So applying that back to the Great Commission, the disciples weren't just blindly following a charismatic leader.
Not at all. They were skeptics. They were processing the impossible. They weren't robots. They were critical thinkers facing a miraculous event. And because they doubted, their eventual belief was actually stronger.
So let's put it all together. We have a messy team missing one betrayer, including one denier who swore an oath against his leader. We have high stakes, a revolution that requires total commitment and likely death. And we have active doubt people wondering if this is even real.
It sounds like a recipe for absolute failure.
It does. But what happens to them? Because the source mentions the outcome, and it's pretty stark.
It is. The source points out that despite this doubt in verse 17, you just have to look at the historical record of these men.
The outcome of the 11.
Except for John, who is traditionally believed to have died of old age in exile, every single one of them was martyred. Peter, who denied him, martyred. The others who doubted on the mountain, all martyred. They all died for this belief.
That really drives the point home, doesn't it? You don't die for a lie that you know is a lie. And you certainly don't die for a doubt.
Exactly. Their doubt wasn't the end of the story. It was the process that got them to a conviction strong enough to die for. They moved from some doubted to total, unwavering commitment.
It's a powerful arc. We started with the movie scene idea, the perfect hero and the perfect team. But I think this version, the messy, doubtful, broken version, is actually much more compelling.
I agree completely. The Hollywood version is about heroes who are ready. The biblical version is about humans who are broken, fearful, and skeptical, but who go anyway.
It really reframes the requirements for doing something important. You don't need to be perfect. You don't even need to be 100% sure in the moment.
You just need to be willing to walk the path. And you have to be willing to pay the price when it comes due. That's the legacy of the 11.
So that leads us to our final thought for you to chew on today. If the Great Commission, this massive world-changing mission, was entrusted to a group of people who were damaged, fearful, and actively doubting while standing right there on the mountain, what does that say about you?
We often wait until we feel ready or certain before we make a move or take a stand on something. But maybe certainty isn't the prerequisite we think it is. Maybe the qualification isn't that you have no doubts, but that you're willing to go despite them.
Something to think about next time you feel unqualified for the task in front of you. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
See you next time.